Testing, testing. All right. What's up, guys? All right. So before I start, the previous video ended in something so logical, so reasonable. It just kind of like, but it still blew me away. And I ended with this: if you're ever not feeling present within your surrounding, then you need to be somewhere else. Then your mind is somewhere else. So ultimately, you're not a tree, so you can move and walk. And it's funny because saying that gave me like a bit of a oof, wow, this is amazing, and then kind of like a bit of anxiety, which is like, what am I thinking? What could possibly, where could I possibly be? And I think it's because most of the actual like video I was discussing how like our house is a neutral place and you're comfortable in it, but like going out somewhere new kind of like exposes something or expresses something. Again, with all due time, everything kind of like reveals itself to you, and in the moment you're no longer thinking about it. And that's the beauty. Because if I think just what I've been doing the past 3, 4 weeks, I've been kind of like anytime there's an opportunity for me not to be in a space that I'm used to, I've been going. And it's funny because they've been coming like crazy and they're stupidly beautiful. And like I knew this week is going to be a lot lower and I have to do some things and basically just kind of go back to like whatever it is you're doing. And I saw that differently. Just the pattern of kind of like following decisions that are made or kind of like being present somewhere else or just kind of like seeing how your presence is or how it matters and shit like this, right? I don't know. I'm sure right now I'm thinking of different things that I kind of did that are very similar to home, so it's kind of like make me lose my presence, right? Or maybe just explore it differently. I have no idea. But anyways, it's probably it's probably very random at the beginning of the video. But today's video is what is an above par commercial system that human nature could handle. Oof. What is an above par commercial system that human nature could handle? Wow. See, what is an above par commercial system that human nature could handle? And notice my wording, not humans could handle, human nature could handle. So what the fuck was I thinking about? Probably thinking about how capitalism kind of like is always failing and we're always creating new ways for us to kind of like support it instead of like allowing it. And in all honesty, in this global endeavor, uh, just to be perfectly clear, I don't think a system would ever sustain itself beyond a certain point. I'm a firm believer if something is breaking, let it break. True, there are certain conditions, and sometimes things break way too fast or start crumbling way too fast. So you kind of have to understand what's going on, any of that stuff. But what is an above par commercial system that human nature could handle? I think we're probably talking about politics and what's going on in Lebanon or something. And I just kind of could not get over the fact that people just discuss possibilities instead of like look at realities and how everything's kind of like attached, everything's connected. So I was like, what would be an above par system? Because like so far, every system kind of creates this like below that poverty line, I guess, or just like a line of people that are like not really able to like survive properly or just kind of like enjoy any decency in life or just a decent life, right? And we're talking purely just like the house to live in, good food, clean environment, like the basic stuff that we think are human rights. Uh, I think they're privileges. They should be rights, but I think they're privileges because ultimately, like, if we actually reflect on them as a privilege, then maybe in our contracts, more people will get to kind of like have better homes. Just the fact that they're doing a good job, and that could be a bonus and corporate responsibility. I believe that. I genuinely do. And I definitely believe that the system basically should. Okay, so I think the natural system is based on on merit, the natural system. And it's funny because, like, any way you look at it, as our evolution as human beings, merit is going to shift. Again, in the 1990s, a steam engine engineer would have been the lead scientist in the early 90s. By the mid 90s, it was theoretical physicists. By the early 90s, it was basically computer scientists, right? So merit keeps shifting, and that's part of our evolution. And I think capitalism, because a lot of the money is handled by individuals. And what do I mean individuals? As in, like, the people that have money are the ones that are able to, like, make the most money. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying if that's the only thing, then all they're be concerned about is money, right? Like, sustainability is never an option for them because they're smart enough to hire the right people and create new endeavors in society that allow them to just put money and take money and keep their money. And that's practically what, like, investing has become over the years instead of actually establishing something. So I think an above par economical system would really not be a system that we are involved in. I think it would be a system where the collective always moves and the collective always changes. Now, I'm not saying moves as in, like, yeah, okay, so, like, what do I mean by movement? I mean the weight of the collective is always moving. And the best way I can explain it is uh, some people have the capability to reach others. Uh, in modern day society, all you need is the money to reach others, right? Like, even if you think make content and all that shit, like, you're limited with, like, the restrictions of the content you make, or at the very least, you're limited with the restrictions of the opinions of the people that your platform that you're using the platform for, right? Because there's a whole lot of, like, there are advertisements that are not really allowed. There's, like, different whatever. When it comes to social shit, the web is not really, like, the best place because whoever's in charge of the government is basically dictating how society, the things society can be exposed to. Fair, that's how it's going. I don't mind. I'm not bitching. But when I say that if you are going to let the free market reign supreme, and it's funny because the free market is not as fickle as we would want it to be, but the things that balance it are no longer money. It becomes the movements. And one thing I learned about human being and human nature is if you give somebody the chance to have an opinion, they will have it. And I feel it's the same. If you give somebody the chance to have a career or have an interest, they will have it. And most of us right now do not really have, like, a lot of us use the excuse that we don't have the luxury. And that's because, like, your environment is not really supporting you to understand yourself or time differently, or just kind of, like, stress all over, maybe that you can't really think straight. There's a whole lot of things that kind of, like, take you from yourself. And I think that's why these systems are subpar. I'm not saying they're wrong, I'm saying subpar, because they're not doing justice the essence of why they exist. So I definitely believe in meritocracy. And I think everything comes with a price, right? But I'd rather small bits and pieces of money as we test things throughout the way than a recession every 10, 15 years. Because one really, like if you just look at it as a chart, man, it's like We're evolving into something issues. We're evolving into something issues. We're evolving into something issues. We're evolving. Oh, we liked it. So we continue straight on issues and up and down, whatever, until we kind of like reach a new plateau. And the example I gave earlier is perfect. Like in the 90s, basically, all we did were invest in like basically probably like steam engines because they work. And then some random dude, man, or dudettes started doing experiments on their own for random shit and thought they succeeded. And suddenly the entire fucking like entire economy shifted. But back in the day, that was a lot more like Wild West. So that's why it kind of like our evolution was a lot faster, I guess, or our interaction with the things that we were doing was a lot more profound that it allowed things to happen. Well, these days you just kind of like always obliterate. It's like everything's out to get your attention. And so to end my thoughts, I think the natural approach is meritocracy. But if we're gonna get a system, we have to get a system that allows us to interact with each other honestly and fairly. And I don't mean honestly as in I'm not gonna fuck you over or something. I mean honestly as in if I fuck you over, I can't get away with it. And I don't think government supports that. I think really just reputation and how we build it. I think a system based on reputation is a system based on merit. Naturally, it's social reputation. But whatever, man, the culture demands. Okay, at one point, man, France had a president that fucking cheated on his wife. But everyone in France was like, that's his personal life. It's nothing to do with his political life. Whilst if that happens in America, oh my God, right? I don't, it's a fucking video and I love you.